Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, veuillez accueillir, please welcome Dror Benshetrit.
Good morning. What if we change perspective? What if we change perspective on what we feel, what we imagine, what we do, and what we share? What if we gain a broader perspective on how we live, our communities, our parks, our parts of the cities that can become parks? What if we gain a broader perspective on the cities of the future? What if we gain a cosmic perspective? I want to share with you today what I believe that it's time to solve problems with our heart, not just with our brain. I believe that creativity and beauty can solve the world's most important challenges. My name is Dror, and I'm damn, I always get stuck here. I'm a designer, I'm an artist, I'm a futurist, I'm an inventor. I believe that vision and idea have the power to solve a lot of problems. So my practice is a design practice that focuses on visions, focus on ideas. We question everything. We question everything from a vase to a city. We like to rethink design typologies. That's the goal in every challenge. And we always want to partner with the world's best know-how. Inspiring change is our responsibility beyond the project that we just create. So I brought today 5 points that I want to share with you that I strongly believe have a profound way of changing how we think about our problems. The first one is passion. Passion for creating meaningful connection between us and our product, us and our interior, us and our buildings, and us and other people. This project is the very first project that I did when I moved to New York and opened my practice. And it solved for me a huge problem. It made me realize that we, unlike a vase that breaks and shatters and ends its life cycle, we actually shape our future by the experience that we take on ourselves. And when we feel like that, we embrace the challenges that we go through. So when we showed this project to Rosenthal, they said, we've been trying to perfect porcelain for 125 years. Here you come and you show the beauty in imperfection, the beauty of experience. Very quickly it became Rosenthal bestseller because people loved the idea of creating their own connection, their own reasoning for why a broken vase. Transformation. Sometimes metaphorical, like the vase, sometimes physical, like this chair. Why to let our guests sit on the chair that we're not proud of, the chair that we actually put in the closet as soon as they leave? What if instead we let them sit on the art piece that we actually enjoy, that is on the wall? And once we realized that all we created essentially is a canvas with hinges, we invited our friends, our artists, to have their own art, to have their own interpretation of what a chair versus art is. Two-dimensional art versus three-dimensional product. When we were invited to think about Central Park of Istanbul, a city that doesn't have a Central Park, we realized that we need to create a love relationship between nature and people. If you're not exposed to nature, you're afraid of nature. So how we can create an environment that is at first familiar, at first looks like an urban grid, and slowly evolves and transforms into places where you can experience nature in different ways, when you can actually create conditions for people to fall in love with nature, to experience different heights between the trees, and actually then discover places to jump, not just to walk, and to see through the treetops. This is a project that got permission from the government to move forward just a couple months ago. This chair was not created for Rihanna. It was actually me trying to solve a problem for myself, a breakup with a girlfriend. We all go through those moments in life where we realize that sometimes it's about this vulnerability where we ask ourselves, are we doing the right things? Peacock opened up his feathers for two completely opposing reasons: attraction and defense. To basically say, look, I'm big, stay away, or the opposite, come closer. So how we can take 3 sheets of felt and actually weave them in such a way that it creates strength, and they give that same feeling when you sit on it. They embrace you, they give you that power, and they hug you at the same time. Montreal. First time I came to Montreal to see the biosphere, it felt like a lonely structure. It felt like an orphan. And I thought, if you want to create a movement, you can't dance alone. You have to have a companion. What if we create a 21st century companion? Buckminster Fuller used to say that the sun and the moon are dancing in the sky all the time. What if those two structures can actually dance and be visible throughout the city in such a way that they are constantly eclipsing one another? And what if that space is the place where we share, watch concerts, and enjoy? That was a vision that we created on our own for the 50th anniversary of the Expo. My second point is about a comprehensive approach. Don't limit your creativity to speciality. And this is the fundamental reason why we practice design comprehensively. The first example is a project that first we were not invited to. The client said, Dror, your practice is too small for this project. We have a 1.2 kilometer of Bosphorus front right in front of the old city, and we need to think of a big problem. A problem of how to solve the cruise ship terminal needs that have to stay on that side, but is actually sitting on the most valuable piece of land of the city. So we teamed up with Gensler, the largest architectural firm in the world, and we say, now we have strength. And we realized that solving this problem through a product design challenge is what we need to do. How do we make the entire cruise ship terminal disappear? How can we basically tackle all of the needs of the cruise ship terminal below sea level? This is going to be the first cruise ship terminal that is completely below sea level. The boardwalk opens up, reveals a hydraulic gangways that take the passengers from the ships directly straight to the basement level. And by doing that, opening the entire neighborhood to the public, opening the entire neighborhood for pedestrian, so all the vehicular circulation, all the needs of the terminals are going below sea level. And this is an example of how creativity across different disciplines, a product design that can solve a master planning challenge. So once we realized we took the attention away from the port and we gave it to the ground, the building now serves as pedestals for the rooftops to basically be the places where people interact with and actually enjoy the beautiful Bosphorus. This project is in construction right now. A comprehensive approach is also about questioning what you've told. Sometimes data will not get you there. Tumi came to us with a request. Make the lightest luggage we're going to have. Why? Because every customer that comes to the store asks for the lightest luggage, so that's what we need to give them. So what do you do when you ask that kind of question? You start taking the lightest luggage you can find apart, and you weigh the wheels, and you weigh the handles, and you weigh the zippers. And then we realize that the differences are similar to the weight of underwears, a couple of underwears. None of us ask ourselves, well, that's too many underwears on that trip. I can't take that. So we realize that we travel with different content at different time. We need different things. And more important than reducing the weight of a couple of underwears is creating a luggage and bag collection that adapt to our need, transform in different ways, transform for our transformable needs. So a backpack that doesn't look like a backpack all the time can actually become a tote bag when you're walking into a meeting and then switch back. The suitcase that you saw is the first hard case that actually changed from 30 liters to 45 to 60 liters. So the entire collection is about transformation. Thank you. We have to collaborate, to innovate. I've been struggling for the last 15 years with the word specialist versus generalist. There's something really odd about being a generalist. So I'm a comprehensivist. That sounds much more sophisticated. So we need to collaborate with best knowledge. We need to collaborate with people that really know what they're doing so we can stay the childish creators that are curious. This is our very first architectural project. When the client came to us and said, we want to create the most luxurious homes on this island, carte blanche. What would you do if those people already have 5 and 6 homes around the world? So I thought the Persian Gulf is the place that I know for carpet making. Why don't we shove all the architecture underneath this massive carpet of vegetation? Because I don't want to see 15 neighbors from one side and 14 neighbors from the other side. I want to feel that I'm part of a community, but I don't want to see my neighbors. That's luxury in that type of setting. Originally, this project was intended to be $154 million worth of real estate. Because of this carpet approach that became the idea that governs this project, the client actually sold $976 million worth of real estate in less than 72 hours. So a little bit better than Avatar on its first weekend out. And we were sitting in New York thinking, what just happened? How is this possible that this idea lead to this kind of approach? Invest in experimenting. This is something that is very important for me in my own practice, and it's something that I encourage all of our clients to do all the time. When Tumi invited us after the success of the collection to think of their retail store, they asked us to design their store. We said, well, we want to really change your retail experience overall. We want to gain a bigger perspective. So we really looked at how Tumi sells their products and really first analyzed what is being sold in the store. So we created all kinds of infographic. This is one of them. And we asked a question. We think you maybe have too many SKUs. What if we actually reduce all of those very low-selling products and take them out? What if we run a small experiment in 3 stores when instead of showing the entire collection, we take the worst 20% of the sales? They called us after a month and said, you wouldn't believe. In all 3 stores, we sold 60% more on average. So having 20% less product and selling 60% more, that's mean a lot for this company. But then we also realized that if the entire collection can be compartmentalized into those three categories, then the store should be designed in such a way, not by collections, but by typologies. Wheel away, bags, and accessories. So this is how we translate it into the store: floor, walls, and tables. This is the first Tumi store with our design. Now they're already enrolled more than 60 stores around the world that is doing a lot better than the previous design. Invest in experiments. This tiny little commission for Swarovski started for us something much bigger than that. We discover a new geometry. We discover something that have tremendous strength and tremendous capability to become all kinds of supporting system. So we call it Quadror because it's made out of 4 identical L-shaped members. It's basically have the ability to be a solid surface or an open trussel frame. The strength of those units is tremendous. It collapses flat. It can become barriers of different kinds. It has also an amazing acoustic bearing capability because of the geometry. And we started experimenting. We started looking at what other applications this can be beneficial for. One of the things that we always do is look at art installations as ways for us to further the R&D, further our understanding of what this can become. And this is an ongoing experiment in our practice. Ways of understanding how this geometry can be beneficial for all kinds of projects, from small sawhorses to a support of slums and favelas, potentially. Deployable structures of different kinds, and the exoskeletons of buildings. My last point is about changing perspective. And this is a project that started when I was invited to NASA to see what they are working on, gaining perspective. Almost 50 years ago, we landed on the moon. An event that really changed our definition of hope, really changed so many different industries. So many things that we have today are because of this event. But there is one thing that we have not paid attention to. Every astronaut that landed on the moon said the exact same thing. If every person in the universe would gain this perspective, it will change us as people. What does that mean? What does that mean it will change us? How can we gain this kind of perspective? Can we gain this kind of perspective here on Earth? So this is what we set to do. Let's try and create an art installation that tries to do that, taking something similar to a planetarium, but instead of having a postered seat, an exit sign, actually having a lunar dust terrain, having a lunar rover projection of planet Earth inside of this black space. There's a company that now makes 99.97 non-emitting light surface, so you're actually standing inside of a dome and you have no idea where the walls are because light does not project on them. And this is one of the most exciting things that every astronaut said, being in the brightness of the surface of the moon, extremely bright surface, but in the darkness of space. Can we try and gain that perspective and look back at ourselves from here? July 20th, 2019 is when we're going to celebrate 50 years anniversary, and this is when we are planning to open this venue. This is about trying to understand. This is where art can change our feeling, potentially. We want to try and do that. But this project is much bigger than this experiment. This project is about gaining respect. So as a venue, it can be used for more than just the experience. It's a new type of venue. So hopefully we can have C2 2019 in that space too. Thank you. But this project is really about changing perspective. What if we bring a delegation of best companies in the world to show how they show respect for our planet, how they show respect for all kinds of things, for our bodies, for our neighbors, for our communities, for the way that we consume product? How do we want to be remembered as a generation, as the one that cut all the forests in the world and pollute the ocean? Or do we want to take responsibility and actually think about what respect means? 5 points. 1, passion to create meaningful connection. Comprehensive approach. Don't limit your creativity to just speciality. Collaborate with the best in class. Invest in small experiments. Small experiments can lead to a lot of change and change your perspective. Gain a broader perspective. So now you understand what I do. We help companies change perspective. Thank you very much.